at some point you got to take the risk and you got to make the move. There's no guarantee your job will even be there tomorrow. There's about to be a ton of layoffs this year. You think that your job is secure? It's not. You're way more secure figuring out how to build your own business than you are working for somebody else. That much is certain. I know many of you watching this want to quit your 9-to-5. That's why you're watching all the YouTube channels, the podcasts, and all of those things. You want to quit, become an entrepreneur, become an investor, maybe even make content and do all of these things. Well, this podcast, I'm going to show you step by step how you actually transition from the 9-to-5 to the full-time business owner, the full-time investor, whatever it is your dreams are. This is the hardest part. Look, the glory is at the end of the day, you see guys like myself and others who, have businesses, they're running them and everything looks super cool. They got time freedom. They don't have a cap on how much money they make. And you're like, I want that. I get it. Once you're there, I actually think it becomes easier. It's the transition to get there that's really hard. And so that's what I want to focus on in this podcast, because we all have to transition from a job we hate into doing what we want to do at some point. I was no different than this, right? And I'm gonna talk a lot about my story in this podcast and how it went for me during the transition, because I think it can relate to many of you who are working a 9-to-5 in a job that you're not especially thrilled about. So first off, let me say this, okay? In very few scenarios have I seen just straight quitting your job as the right choice, like off the bat. Okay. If you don't have experience in real estate investing or starting a business or anything, and you don't have a nest egg, you don't have any money saved up, I don't think you should probably just quit your job and, jump into this space. I'm not a big believer in that. Okay. I think there's smarter ways to do it, especially if you have a family and you're a provider for your family. It's quitting right off the bat is probably not the best thing. So you got to start thinking about the transition. Now, let's talk about this, okay? Currently, I would assume you're working 40 hours a week or so at your current job, and you make whatever you make. Obviously, it's enough for whatever you have, but it's not where you want to be. Well, the only way to transition is to start off doing whatever it is you want to be doing as a side hustle. And so you got to decide, how many hours am I willing to put into a week for this side hustle? If it's real estate investing, if it's, social media, if it is starting any kind of company for that matter, how many hours a week are you willing to put into it? And I believe, from my own experience, it's very difficult to build a business and have it be somewhat successful unless you're putting in at least 20 hours a week. That's my opinion. Okay. So if you have a job that's 40 hours a week and you're trying to transition out, you're going to have to work 60 hours a week between both jobs. That's just the way it's going to have to be. And, as time goes on and you transition out, you're going to gain back your 40 hours from your other job. And maybe you are at 40 hours for your new job, or maybe you continue to do 60 hours until you really build it up to where you want to be. Like, either way, just plan that you're going to probably have to work 60 hours to make the transition happen and give the side hustle a big enough opportunity to succeed. Okay. So let's establish that framework off the bat. For me, right, here's kind of what happened. I was playing baseball full time. That was my job. That was my 40-hour, probably freaking longer than 40 hours a week when you really think about it. I was gone 6 months out of the year, playing in another state. So I consider that 24 hours a day because I couldn't go build a business here in Las Vegas. I didn't know about internet businesses back then, right? It wasn't this big deal that it is today. Like, now it would be much different if I was still playing. I think I could balance them both out and do really well. But back then, anyways, with my story, I was basically gone for 6 months out of the year. And during the other 6 months, I was training probably, 3 hours a day. And I knew that I had to go figure out how to make money in the other work hours. And so, I tried a lot of different side hustles. I became a realtor, and that was not something I enjoyed doing, and it did not make me very much money. And this is actually a very good first start for you to think about, is that the first thing you do try may not work out. And it may be a sign to you that, hey, I actually don't want to be in this business. And that's good. You don't know that until you try it. Because I had read about these realtors making all this money. I was like, wow, be a real estate agent, sell a house, make good money. And then I did it and I was like, wow, I do not like this. I hate showing clients around. I don't want to like do all this stuff. I hate prospecting, at least in the way that I thought you had to prospect. Now I realize you always have to prospect in any business. So if you hate prospecting and marketing, you're not going to make it in business. You have to get good at that, but you don't have to do it in the ways that you may think you have to do it. So I've done other podcasts on how I market. They've been some of my best performing podcasts. So if you want to go listen to those after this one, I'll link to it down below in the description. And after this on YouTube, I'll put it as the end video that you can watch next. But, long story short, I didn't like being a realtor. And I was doing that while playing baseball, and I just basically gave up on being a realtor, right? Well, the next thing I did was I started flipping couches. Okay, this was a couple of years later, and I had great success flipping couches. And so I was doing it as a side hustle while baseball was still my full-time career. Now, here's the thing. I didn't want to leave baseball, okay? Unlike probably some of you listening to this, you want to leave your 9 to 5. I didn't want to leave my 9 to 5. I wanted to play baseball, but have a good enough side hustle that could support me pursuing my dream. And so if you're in that boat where you have a dream that maybe doesn't pay a lot of money off the bat, maybe you want to be a musician, maybe you want to be an athlete, maybe you want to be something like a YouTube, you want to be a YouTuber and you're not making money off the bat. A side hustle is a great way to pursue a dream that's not making you money as well, okay? At least initially until you hit your big payday. So for me, I said, okay, well, I want to do this side hustle until I get, either I make it in baseball or I retire and I quit. Well, what happened for me was I got good at couch flipping, and that was my first successful venture, as a side hustle and as an entrepreneur. And, I kept that going, and I got that going to $8,000 a month, which was way more than Mindy and I needed at that time. I mean, I was 24, 25 years old, way more money than we ever needed. And so, I built that business up and it was doing really well. Okay. Fast forward, I learned about house flipping and I say, man, I want to get in this house flipping thing. Okay. I had also started to grow tired of couch flipping, but I still wanted to pursue baseball. And so I said, okay, well, basically now couch flipping is my 9 to 5. Okay. Baseball's my dream. Couch flipping's my 9 to 5. Real estate's where I really want to go as far as house flipping. I didn't want to be a realtor, but I knew with house flipping, I could make a lot of money. And so, I'm doing house flipping as my side hustle now. Couch flipping is my main job. And then baseball's kind of in the background of this thing, which if it sounds confusing, it kind of shows what my life is today, where you're like, dang, dude, this guy's running like however many businesses, videos, playing golf, doing all this other stuff. I've just always enjoyed balancing a lot of things, whether I was like super successful or not. I enjoy the process of doing lots of different things. I get bored, just doing one thing. So anyways, I start figuring out house flipping and I flip my first house. I make 25 grand. I'm like, this is great. But I wasn't like, hey, I'm just going to go flip, or I'm just going to go stop couch flipping right now, because couch flipping was still like my 9 to 5. That's what was paying the bills, even while I was flipping houses that first year. So I was way too scared to give up couch flipping, right there. So I was still spending the majority of my time flipping couches. And when I was on my deliveries for couches, I was improving my side hustle of real estate investing. And so I was listening to every podcast. Back at then, really all there was Bigger Pockets. And so I was just listening to every Bigger Pockets podcast. Today, some of you are probably listening to this podcast right now while you're doing some commute for your normal job, which is great. I think that's an amazing time hack to kind of get double hours. Like, you have to be efficient when you're trying to transition out. You got to use every waking hour to like get out of there and build up this new career that you're looking for yourself. And so that's what I did. While I was flipping couches, I used every hour I possibly could. So I was delivering, I was building up my education by listening to podcasts. I would be cleaning couches, literally headphones in, listening to podcasts, listening to courses and content, just trying to absorb everything about real estate investing because I knew so little. And there were so many things I was learning every day that I had no clues about. And I was like, wow, Okay. And so for me, it was like basically getting double time. I was still able to go make money on a daily basis flipping couches while also learning about house flipping. And then, there would be times where I would go prospect for flips, and, that was strictly dedicated towards that. I'd be on the MLS, I'd be looking at deals, I'd be analyzing, I'd be getting better at my skills, I'd be making offers. When I started buying houses, I had to go to the houses and, manage the construction. I had to, go to different material shops and go pick floorings and paints. And I was at Home Depot a lot trying to just understand how to do this business. And that's the key. When you're first starting a side hustle, you have to fully integrate yourself into this and just learn from scratch, like every nuance of that business. So anyways, I basically was still a full-time couch flipper while I pursued flipping houses, while I pursued baseball, in all of 2015. I did that for a year. And it was a lot of work. I'll tell you guys this. I did more work back then than I do today because the transition was so difficult. Training for baseball, trying to go run this couch flipping business, trying to get my real estate career started and flip some houses. And, as we know with flipping, you don't make money right away. I had to go front all of this money with credit cards and everything else. And, it takes months to go sell this home. And so you're just sitting there not making any money for months, even though you make the $25K payday if you do everything right. So, I needed the couch flipping to sustain me the whole time. Well, what ended up happening was this transition period was a full year for me. Okay. So, for those of you watching this, I want you to know there's nothing wrong with taking a year to transition out of your job. Okay. That's what I was doing. And I don't see anything wrong with the path I took. Now, granted, I think there are smarter ways I could do it in hindsight now, right? I should have joined mentorships and coaching, and I would have been able to accelerate the real estate investing so much quicker. But I was dumb. I just was 25, 26-year-old kid that didn't really understand. So anyways, 2015, I'm just literally getting my feet wet in real estate, figuring things out. I bought 5 flips that year. I sold a few of them. I made $50,000 that first year. And, I made more money couch flipping, truthfully, right? But, it was a great start. I'm like, great, I got this couch flipping thing now. I got house flipping now. This is great. I'm also playing baseball. And, I'm kind of just managing all these different things. Well, I go into 2016. And at that point, I was now starting to get momentum flipping houses. And I said, okay, I now want to go full time into house flipping. Okay. I don't want to just continue flipping couches because it's not worth my time anymore. But I still also want to continue playing baseball because that's my dream. So 2016, I actually hire my friend to take over my couch flipping operation. And I said, hey, Drew's his name. I said, Drew, you just pick up the couches, deliver them, all that stuff. I'll handle finding the deals, negotiating, and getting the listings. And so we did that. I gave him $50 per delivery, which was pretty generous. So he was making like $100, $150, $200 a day just delivering couches. I was still making, $100 to $200 a day in net profit because he, a lot of the margin was going to him. But it was still fine to run the business because it didn't take a ton of my time, and it was still giving me consistent income because I still didn't have any consistent income with flipping houses yet. But I ended up doing that for like half of 2016, and then we both went to go play baseball because we were both pro baseball players. And so, we went to play baseball. I was still running the house flipping business while I was still playing baseball. I was getting deals while I was in season, and I was doing really well in season flipping houses. Hey, if you're looking to grow your real estate investing business, whether you're just getting started trying to get your first deal or you're trying to scale and get to the next level, you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. We've got events every single quarter that are absolutely crazy. We've got online coaching programs where we have Zoom calls, a community every single week. We give you everything you need to know to start your business, scripts, processes, SOPs, all of it. It's for you so that you can dominate. So if you want to learn more about how to join our community and be mentored by me and some of our top coaches and be around other students who are absolutely crushing it, Go to wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a free call with my team. Once again, wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a call today. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the smartest business decision I've ever made was creating content. Ever since then, my businesses have skyrocketed, not only because we get a lot of views and we're able to turn those views into leads, which then turn into dollars, but it's also led to a ton of different business opportunities, investors, and also it's allowed me to hire A+ employees, all because I made the decision to create content. Now, here's the thing, most people have no idea where to begin. That changes with Wealthy Creator. Wealthy Creator is my coaching program for entrepreneurs who want to grow their personal brand on social media. And if you're listening to this, that's probably you. You probably realize you should be creating a podcast just like this one and developing your personal brand. We can help you. We have coaching programs, mentorships. In fact, we can even edit your content for you and run your social media account. It's absolutely crazy. So if you want to learn more about it, go to wealthycreator.io. You can book a free call with my team. So once again, that's wealthycreator.io. Start creating content today, building that brand, and I promise you it'll be the best investment you ever make. And by the time that season was over, when I got back in like September of 2016, and it was time to make a decision on whether or not to restart the couch flipping business, I was like, I'm done. I'm fully confident now in my ability to flip houses. I had built up a nest egg, and I was able to just solely rely on my house flipping income from all of that. And that year in 2016, I made $200,000 flipping houses. And so it was the first time I ever made six figures in a year officially. And it was the start of like me knowing that, hey, if baseball doesn't work out, I'm going to be fine, And what ended up happening as my career evolved was 2017, I went into the next year and I still was playing baseball and I was ready to really scale the house flipping because I had learned a lot. And I finally got private money that year in 2017. And so I wasn't constrained by my own budgets. And that year in 2017 ended up being the last year I played pro baseball. I went for the season. I was having my worst season of my career in 2017 because I was like balancing now two things that were, the house flipping was growing so large, so fast, I just could not manage it mentally. Trying to go be out on the field and play at a high level and then running this business that had like 15 flips going on. I didn't have any employees or staff. I had one guy, Nick, who ended up being my partner at the brokerage, just helping me out. And we didn't have an office or any of that stuff. So it was a lot of stress being basically a solopreneur during this time. I ended up getting released that year and I got some offers to continue playing. I was like, I'm good. My house living business is crushing it. And I'm going to now solely focus on this full time. No more distractions, no baseball, no couch flipping, nothing. And that year in 2017, I made $750,000 flipping houses. So it was crazy, to go from 50K to 200K to 750K. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, I thought I was rich when I was flipping couches, a few years prior. And to make that kind of money so fast was insane. So, in the end, I basically transitioned out of my couch flipping after a year and a half. That was basically what happened. And it took me basically 3 years to go full time at real estate investing and house flipping, because I finally gave up baseball and everything else. So long story short, all right, I want to share that story because a lot of people don't know that that's the path that it took for me to go full time as an entrepreneur. All right. And since then, obviously, I started more businesses. I started doing content and I'll continue to do both of those things. And, I'm always trying to figure out how to balance my time. At that time, I was only, I was just married to Mindy. We didn't have kids yet. Eventually, we had kids. And, now our lives a lot more complex with kids and multiple businesses and all this stuff. So, in the end, what I'll say with transitioning is you got to first look at your current situation with your job. Obviously, it's paying the bills. You got to test out what is it going to be that you transition into. All right. So if you want to become a house flipper, wholesaler, Airbnb host, you want to become, a content creator, you want to start a clothing brand, e-com store, like whatever you want to start digitally, I think by the way, I'm speaking digitally now. I think digital businesses are amazing, compared to other types of businesses. But, there's a lot of opportunity in the digital space, but I also love physical real estate too. But if it was me, I think you can build a business even like real estate businesses. When you're wholesaling, most of it is digital. Airbnb, it's a mix of digital and physical. Social media is like all digital, right? So I think that there's a lot more opportunities to create a side hustle that doesn't take so much of your time, that can be done from your home, and you can make really good money. Okay. So anyways, I think that the key is you're willing to put that 60 hours a week into, your main job and this side hustle. And what I would do is, you first got to start having success with that side hustle. And so you're going to try something out. And if you try it out and it doesn't work, that's okay. I think that's great. I don't regret being a realtor. Like it taught me a lot of things about myself and what it is I wanted to do with my life. And so I'm super grateful that I got the chance to fail and realize I didn't like it. But even through that failure, I learned a lot that helped me later on. I learned like what it's like being a realtor. Now I have that perspective when people sell me a house or when realtors represent me. I know exactly what they're feeling. When I see people starting a business, I know exactly what they're feeling because I've gone through it. When a business fails, I know exactly what they're doing or they're going through because I've had businesses fail. When you lose money on a house flip or a real estate investment, I know exactly what you're feeling because I've done it. So I think that all experiences, depending on how you perceive it, are good. Even failures, even things that you regret, things that cause a lot of issues. Like I think that you can look at them optimistically if you choose to, and they help you make better decisions going forward. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. But anyways, I think that assuming you either fail and you try something new and then you have success, or you have success right off the bat, you need to now figure out how much success do I need before I'm willing to give up my other thing. Okay. For me, like I said, with house flipping anyway, I wanted to be sure I had a nest egg built up and I had like sustained monthly income coming in. Because with house flipping, for most people, when you're first starting out, it's like, oh, I buy one house and then 4 or 6 months later, I make profit. Well, you can't go 4 to 6 months not making any money. And, you don't even know if you're going to make profit or not because you haven't really successfully done it yet. So that's why I kept couch flipping. But maybe you're in a different business where your cash cycle isn't so long, like flipping a house. And so, you're making money every month doing whatever it is you're selling or doing, or your product or service or store or anything, right? If that's the case, then you now have like a faster time at which you can quit, because it's like, oh, well, this business now instantly makes me $10,000 a month. And I can consistently count on that happening every month because that's just the cycle of this business. So, it really depends on the business that you're transitioning into. Real estate, if you're trying to do that, I think that it's going to take longer. It just is. And actually I should say it's going to take longer if you're flipping or wholesaling. So flipping would be the longest. Wholesaling would definitely be shorter because the turn time is way less. But I would say if you go into Airbnb, which, by the way, we have a new Airbnb program at Wealthy Investor called ProHost. You can learn more about it at wealthyprohost.com. Airbnb is the one that can happen really fast, because if you do the Airbnb arbitrage model, or you start getting into property management for other landlords, you can make money like that, And so it's just a matter of how many properties can you either sublease, own, or manage for other people. I think that's one of the easiest ways to get to 6 figures very fast right now. And Airbnb is pretty digital for a lot of the things that you got to do. It's a hybrid, but you managing it is very digital. So yeah, I think that depending on what business you're transitioning into will dictate how quickly you can leave your current job. The other thing I think about too is like, obviously you want to have success first. So let's just say you were transitioning to be an Airbnb person, right? Airbnb host. And you got your first property and it's making you $2,000 a month. That's great. That's a win. It's going awesome. Can you actually go get a second one now? All right. You go out and you get a second one. Now you're making $3,000-$4,000 a month. You're like, all right, at that point, depending on what your schedule is like, I would consider quitting at that point, because now you have a consistent income. And if you have the ability and the confidence that you can go out and get more properties to manage, whether it's your own or other people's, I could see transitioning out that way. Some people, they want to replace their current income before they transition out. So it's like, okay, you make $10,000 a month, let's just say, and you're not going to leave until you make $10,000 a month in your side hustle. By all means, you can do that, but it's kind of not really a fair fight, because your side hustle is only working 20 hours a week versus your full-time job is 40 hours. So in my mind anyways, it's like, even if apples are apples, or apples to apples, you should still like look at it as half of the money, because you're spending half the time on the side hustle, in my opinion anyways. Plus, it becomes, well, is the side hustle going to make you more money as a full-time career, or is it truly just like a side hustle and it has a cap and, you're just going to make enough, but you're going to work less? That's also a win, right? Like, let's just say, you were trying to replace a $10,000 a month income, and, you did work 40, 50 hours a week. And now with Airbnb, you could work 20 hours a week. That's a win. Even if you don't use the other hours to work and you just use it to chill or whatever, that's obviously a win. So I think that you need some kind of proof of concept during the transition. I think you want to start making some consistent monthly income before the transition. I think that you should have some kind of savings built up before the transition, right? All this money you're making in your side hustle while you're working both careers should be you should be either reinvesting that back into the business or education, or you should be saving it as like the nest egg that you need to fully go all in to the business. But me, I'm all about reinvesting it, right? So even when I did transition, I was taking all the money and putting it into my next deals, into an event, into a mentor. When I fully transitioned, I should say. And I still do all of that today, right? Like, I have a little nest egg, but it's definitely like not huge compared to, the amount of money I've made in my career, because I like just reinvesting it. I like putting it back into my business. I like putting it into next deals. Like, I don't like just money sitting there doing nothing. Inflation's going to make it worse, right? And I've gotten good at, opportunities, like creating opportunities for myself and our businesses and our teams. And so I like to reinvest there. But I guess at the end of the day, you're going to have to do a few things. Like I said, test your side hustle, have success, proof of concept, then consistently start doing it, show that you can keep scaling it and that it could potentially replace your income. Build up a little bit of a nest egg. A lot of people ask me this too. They say, how much in reserve should I have before, I do something like this? And in business and stuff, I mean, honestly, you don't need 12 months of reserves. That's too much. Like, it's just kind of a waste. Most businesses most businesses don't have any reserves. They're month to month. So like, let's get that straight. I think a healthy reserve amount is 3 to 6 months. I operate probably at like 3 months, because it's just like, number one, I like having my back against the wall, because if I have like this fat cushion, I might look at it and be like, I don't really need to work. I don't need to do that video. I don't need to do that webinar or whatever the case is. And that's just not the right attitude, right? If you have the capabilities, you should work hard and you should do everything in your power to do it. And what creates complacency is, basically like having big reserves and living fat and other things. Like, my biggest innovations and my hardest work has come when my back's been against the wall. Because here's the thing, even when you start making money, your back is going to it's going to be against the wall at some point. Like, that's just the way business goes. For instance, look at a guy like Elon Musk. I mean, dude is the richest man in the world. Well, was the richest man in the world. You know, he goes out and buys Twitter. Tesla's stock drops like 50, 60%. I read a report that he lost like $200 billion of net worth or something in 1 year. He's like the first person ever to lose $200 billion of net worth. And he's got this dumpster fire of Twitter that he's dealing with. Tesla investors are pissed. And he's got to deal with all this stuff. So do you think that he's kind of sweating bullets and trying to figure out what to do? Yeah, I bet you he's sweating bullets. Just like when Tesla almost went bankrupt when they first started. He took all of his money from PayPal, invested it all in Tesla, had no backup plan, and figured out how to make it work. And so if the richest man in the world, you know, ends up having financial problems, it tells you like anyone can, and you will. I have it all the time, right? Something doesn't go the way we think. Now all of a sudden you got to deal with this issue, right? Markets crash, things happen, employees do things, customers do things, you get sued. Like, you can't prevent that. That's life. That's life as an entrepreneur. So my point is, you know, with reserves, there's no amount of money, honestly, that will make you feel comfortable. Like, you know, I was talking to somebody in a group and she was telling me about how much reserve she had. It was in the tens of millions of dollars. And she was like, yeah, when I start having to tap into it, I start to feel very insecure. And I was like, wow, you know, tens of millions of dollars in liquid cash. And, you know, you start to feel uncomfortable because it's not enough. And it just goes to show it does not matter how much money you make. Once you're at that level, you'll start to always think that, man, I just don't really have enough. You know, I remember a time where, you know, having $1,000 in the bank was considered a lot of money. I'm like, wow, I feel pretty good. And then I remember the first time I got 100,000 in the bank, and I'm like, wow, like this is crazy that I have $100,000 in my bank account. And then I remember when I had $1 million in my bank account for the first time, I was like, holy crap, I have $1 million in my bank account. And, you know, now I look at it, I'm like, dude, like, that's not enough. And that's the mentality it's always going to be, right? It's just numbers. And so, you know, we as humans never feel like we have enough. We're always like in fight or flight, survival mode. And that's what running a business is like too. So I just want you to know that, right? Like, there's never the perfect time to transition from a 9 to 5, but I think you can use a lot of these principles and a lot of the things that, you know, hopefully my story helps you see that it may not happen instantly, right? Everybody's just telling you quit your job right now, right? The only time I tell people to quit their job right now is when I already see they've already have the proof of concept, they have the success, they're making money, they've got reserve, they've already fit all this criteria. They come into Wealthy Investor and they're like, well, I still got my job, you know, I'm kind of scared to quit. And I'm looking at their current real estate business and I'm like, bro, quit. What are you talking about? You've got more than enough to quit. And, you know, that's the hard part. So I think for most, if you're a guy like me, you're trying to quit as fast as possible. And, you know, you need to just get that success and get the ball moving and then you're good. For others, they're very risk averse. And so they don't want to lose that thing that's, you know, helped them this entire time. And, you know, even though they've had success, they may not have full faith that they'll have continued success. I totally get that too, you know, but at some point you got to take the risk and you got to make the move. And look, there's no guarantee your job will even be there tomorrow. There's about to be a ton of layoffs this year with the recession. You think that your job is secure? It's not. You're way more secure figuring out how to build your own business than you are working for somebody else. That much is certain, right? Unless that person that you work for is, you know, somebody that you just believe in that is far better than you and that you can also get behind and continue to add value. Because guess what? If you're not adding value to the organization that you're in, you're the first person to get cut. That's the way that it goes, no matter how good the company is. You know, Tesla is going to be fine in the long haul. I don't think anyone is concerned about Tesla going bankrupt. But I can tell you this, they are going to lay people off, the people who aren't producing. And that's life. Doesn't mean Tesla's a bad company. It means that the market conditions dictate that they need to go do this, and the weakest are going to get laid off. So your job is not secure. So it is your obligation to start figuring out other streams of income and how you can go build something for yourself as well, especially if you're not happy at your current job. So anyways, I said that I would help you out with marketing because I think marketing is the big key to scaling this side hustle and this other job. So make sure you watch this next video by clicking right here, and it's going to help you out. So thanks for watching the podcast. Go watch this next video on marketing. Get good at that.